Capricorn, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. In these weekly videos, I review the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun and what that means for your day-to-day and bottom line. The only thing you need to know to enjoy this video and understand it is your birthday. That's it. Everything else I will translate for you. I'm going to start out really broad with the big stuff that's going on energetically, and then I'm going to focus it down into Capricorn specific energy, and then I will break things down into the 3 decans of Capricorn. And a decan is a set of 10 degrees, and every zodiac sign has 3 of them. So what that does is it helps me understand how your natal sun is aspected to the other planets. What is an aspect? An aspect is the relationship formed between the energies of 2 planets because of the angle that they're forming to each other. So not all Capricorns are getting impacted the same way by the energies surrounding your natal suns. So trust me when I say very different from traditional horoscopes, a much more accurate astrology. So let's get into it, okay? This is for the week of January 19th through the 25th of 2023. I got my notes written down. I've got to. Let's start off with the big stuff. And there's a lot of big stuff this week. Number one, a lot is happening around the 23rd. The sun has moved between the 22nd and 23rd, depending on where you are on the globe. The sun has moved into Capricorn. I'm sorry, the sun has moved into Leo. So the sun is transiting into its home domicile. This is a very confident and romantic energy. It's a very creative energy. But most importantly, it's a brave energy. It's a courageous energy that really knows where its heart is. It's also in opposition to Pluto while this happens and square the node while this happens, and we stay in that grand square all week, which means there is a pressure cooker to completely and totally transform the ego, the self, and where our heart space is, what our life purpose is, maybe even the way we see our dynamics or purpose on this earth. This is especially going to be impactful, of course, for Leos, but it will be impacting you as well, especially a set of you, because Capricorn, if you're in the 3rd decan of Capricorn, Pluto is conjunct to your natal suns. Pluto is at 29 degrees Capricorn right now in retrograde. So it is in opposition to Leo. To Leo right now, to the sun right now as it moves into Leo. So you will feel this kind of a thud or dynamic shift, and I'm sure you've already felt it when it comes to the nodes, because now the nodes are in fellow cardinal signs. The south node is in Libra and the north node is in Aries, and so the focus of our world now changes from the taboo versus the traditional to the duality between partnership versus the individual, and they're not actually separate things. They are one path that needs to be calibrated. And this is what the world is asking us to do now. Recalibrate the way we see the individual inside of the relationship, or how the relationship itself or intimate partnerships themselves help to encourage or maybe hinder the development of the individual. They're not separate, and they really both have to be strong for them to function. So it's not the disconnect, it's the connect between the nodes, because the nodes aren't actually a separate thing. They are one path, and that's sort of the path we are walking on right now for the next 18 months. We also have on the 23rd Venus. Venus is in Leo, and she's going into retrograde for about 40 days. I might be wrong about that number, but it's a while. And Venus in Leo is a very passionate, romantic, confident, sometimes shallow energy. In retrograde, she's going to be forced to ask herself, why do I desire what I desire? And are those things still in line with quality? You know, it's like sort of a review of the way that you spend money, what you're turned on by, what you're attracted to, the decisions that you've made about looks or about how much looks matter, you know, projection versus reality. This is that sentiment of glamour versus actual beauty. So all of those topics will be brought up now for the next 40 days as well. We also have, we have so much going on. We have Pluto, this is long term, trine to Uranus and sextile to Neptune. And every time Pluto has been sextile to Neptune in the past 80 years, there has been a huge technological breakthrough that revolutionizes the way humanity lives or interacts, primarily surrounding usually nuclear energy. So now that it's trine to Uranus, you can expect that there's a huge technological breakthrough, maybe through maybe when it comes to nuclear energy or something right out of just fantasy dream world, now all of a sudden figuring out how to be engineered into reality. But this is a big dynamic change over the next decade or so that could really impact how we live here on the planet or off the planet. You never know, especially when it regards Uranus. Now, Mars is undergoing a lot of energy as well. Mars is still in opposition to Saturn, and Saturn is still semi-square to Chiron. That's resentful energy, tense energy. I'm so sick of all of these obligations. It's like putting a lot of pressure and anger into the mix right now. But then there's also now a trine to Jupiter, which means a way out, and I'm going to take action just on my faith. And whatever action you take, it really empowers you to make a big impact and have a lot of luck. So this is a good week to take action. Then we also have Mercury square to Jupiter, for a little while at least. Which can really be a lot about shit talking or so much information we don't really know what to do with it. But we have on the 22nd of July this grand trine that forms on top of this grand square, which is all in earth signs between Pluto, Uranus, and the moon when it enters Virgo. Psyche, or a psychic breakthrough. Technology could be making something clear, be proving something, or creating almost a subconsciousness. This is really interesting, right? Yeah. Then we have Venus, which is in retrograde, but she is trine to the North Node and sextile to the South Node, which means she is 100% about, and will be throughout this whole retrograde, retrospective on where we've gotten comfortable, maybe too comfortable, and where that's held up and blocked our opportunities around what we desire, what we value, what we find valuable, and the price we put on things, the value level and attractiveness, like why is something attractive to us, or how attractive is it, and how can we reset that balance between that partnership, individuality, duality. We also have an interesting combination. The North Node, now that the North Node has moved from Taurus into Aries, now there is this, it's at 29 degrees Aries, so it's in loose conjunction to Chiron, and from this point on it will just get tighter and tighter and tighter. What does that mean? Well, North Node conjunct Chiron is a determined energy that will not allow bad things to happen again, because the experience was so much that it inspires this energy of never again. So it's almost like the hero energy, the taking a stand to make sure that nobody has to experience horrible things again. This is very interesting energy that's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger over the next 6 months. That's an interesting thing to watch. We have Mercury square to Uranus as of the 20th. And then trine to Chiron. What does this mean? We are trying to find peace and harmony with what people have said to us. We are trying to make amends, maybe for harsh words or words that have wounded or hurt, or be able to finally figure something out that has to do with stuff that has caused us to have challenges in the past. But we have on the 20th, or by the 20th, Mercury is now no longer square to Jupiter. Mercury will be square to Uranus, and that could be very problematic, especially with tech and communications. So everybody could be definitely impacted by that this week, especially since Uranus is trine to Pluto, which emphasizes and exaggerates everything that happens between with regards to Uranus. And then what do we have? We have a Mercury conjunct Venus as of the 23rd, and that will create a beautiful, eloquent opportunity for communications that will really communicate and express, emotive words, emotive language, very eloquent expression or communications around that time. So let's see how all this energy interacts with you guys. First, we're going to go over Capricorn specific energy. For that, I look to what's happening in Capricorn, and then what's happening with your ruling dignitary, which is Saturn. So let's see what's happening in Capricorn. There's just Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn, because it retrograded from Aquarius back into Capricorn, and that's where it will stay until the end of this year, when it gets out of retrograde and moves back into Aquarius. The dynamic between Pluto and the moon is really creating a lot of tension and a lot of formidable, unignorable energy that is going to power pack and break through. Change, something that will really transform the self, the personality, and change you, especially for Capricorn 3s, but we'll talk about that in a little while. What's going on with Saturn? Well, Saturn is in retrograde right now, and it will be for a while till through the fall. It's at 6 degrees Pisces, which is where it stays, and it's in opposition to Mars, and it is semi-square to Chiron. What does this mean? This is very tense and frustrated energy. This feeling of nobody's listening to you, nobody wants to do things as planned or on time, very pop-offish energy. It's easier for you to get angry in this energy and feel depressed, like, why do I even try? Why do I even bother? Nothing that I do is going to be good enough, or it's always going to be over-criticized. So you could have a lot of problems with motivation right now, or challenges controlling your temper. So just an FYI, compassion for yourself and others has to be a priority right now. This opposition between Saturn and Mars will last all the way through the 30th of this month. So you got another couple of weeks to handle the energy. Let's go into the decans now, all right? Capricorn, if you know that your birthday, that's right, I'm wearing my hats just so that you know, a reminder to go to my website, www.bornwithoutboundariestarot.com, especially if you want personal readings. You can book them only through my website, but this is where you buy these guys too. There's dynamic, full rainbow, full spectrum astroglyphs on black or white hats. So check that out. So if you know your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Capricorn, it falls in the first decan of Capricorn, and you are Capricorn 1s. This usually correlates to December Capricorns. Birthdays anywhere between December 22nd and the 31st of December. That's you guys, definitely Sagittarius cuspers. Your natal suns are sextile to Saturn, which means opportunities in business, in your career, in building out, lots of opportunities that you will be taken seriously with, or maybe that you'll take the lead on. But honestly, with this contentious opposition to Mars, you can still kind of be challenged by these energies, and it could still find this to be a very challenging week where you end up almost pushing things forward, or trying to push through too hard, or being angry and frustrated about something that hasn't gone through maybe as quickly as you wanted it to. The energy for the sextile is still there all this year. This could just be an extra frustrating time. We also have a quincunx to the sun, which causes even more frustration, and like, people are challenging my ego. People are challenging my authority. Who am I really? Do I really count? All of these things could be compressing your your self-esteem this week. So extra compassion for you is necessary. Now, you guys, your natal suns are trine to Mars, which is really interesting because Saturn is in opposition to Mars. But for you yourself, there could be a huge push forward and a tranquility or harmony in taking action in order to open up opportunities for yourself. So there, you might be dealing with other people's frustration or anger. Be extra compassionate for sure, but honestly, there's still room for opportunities to be open for you, or to take action, or feel momentum moving forward. If you are born at the very cusp between Sagittarius and Capricorn, your natal suns are trine to Venus. And by the 23rd, when Venus goes into retrograde, you guys, your natal suns will be square to the moon. What does this mean? Extra emotional, especially with regards to things that have happened with your romantic relationships or stuff that could come up from the past. Just an FYI. Compassion, but also kind of self-care and trying not to take things so personally if they come up. But this is all what you could be dealing with this week, just an FYI. Also could be in some cases financial issues, right? Trying to find harmony by confronting different challenging emotions. So the trine is still there, which you could get to the bottom of things, but facing these challenging emotions are going to be something that happens, especially around the 23rd. Let's go into Capricorn 2s. Capricorn 2s, if you know your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Capricorn, it is in the second decan of Capricorn, and you are Capricorn 2s. This correlates to birthdays between January 1st and the 10th. So, New Year's Day, babies. Your natal suns are in a long-term square to Chiron, especially if you're born around the 1st, especially if you're born around, but especially if you're born around the 9th or 10th. So then the square is really, really rough. And because Chiron is so activated now by the North Node being there, this could be extra tension or extra frustration or extra inspiration. Like this sense of Chiron square the sun is almost like, why is everything so difficult? Why is everything so challenging? But because the North Node is now there, this could actually be motivating you to find a way to make things better for other people, to make things less challenging, and finding a purpose for all those challenges that you've had to go through, and a conduit maybe to give advice or to counsel or something like that. We also have a trine to Jupiter, which is extremely lucky energy. Please take this luck. Please let it motivate you. Please absolutely move forward and expand and open yourself. These are opportunities that almost just flow to you. It's a kind of optimism that will really welcome in abundance for you. And then we have a quincunx to Mercury through the 22nd. So please don't try to sign any important paperwork. Just frustrating communications and people misunderstanding you, almost like you're experiencing a Mercury retrograde, but nobody else is. It's that kind of energy. So no important conversations. Up through the 22nd. Wait till later on in the week to sign any important paperwork or stuff like that. FYI. Capricorn 3s. If you know your natal sun is between 20 and 29 degrees Capricorn, it is in the third decan of Capricorn, and you are Capricorn 3s. This correlates to birthdays between the 11th and the 21st of January. So on the 22nd, because you guys are the ones that are conjunct Pluto, especially those of you on the Aquarius cusp. So those of you born around the 20th, 21st, 22nd of January, it's you guys that especially are going to be involved on the 22nd in this grand trine that forms between the moon in Virgo and Uranus, which is in Taurus. So this is really that psychic energy, that suddenly this relaxed tension that brings up something kind of surprising and groundbreaking, maybe extra personal for you, but it could really change your perspective on things. You are conjunct to Pluto long term, and what does that mean? constant change, this big change, permanent change. You'll feel your ego, yourself, your life purpose going through major changes now, and for the next 2 years. You also have a long-term sextile to Neptune, and this Pluto sextile Neptune, it's right on top of your natal suns, which it's huge breakthroughs, even genius level breakthroughs, psychic energy breakthroughs. Personally, it's more psychic and spiritual connectivity to the divine and finding those powers, those deep primal psychic powers in yourself that maybe you never even knew existed. This week, you are opposite the sun and square the node. So this is a dynamic shift in your perspective, in your life purpose, or a huge change in the way that you see things, your courage level. You are really taking action and driving change, and people will feel this about you, even being extra intimidated by you, even if you don't try, but it's good to be aware of. Your natal suns are also in a long-term trine to Uranus, which means innovation and surprising outside of the box thinking, but an extra clever mind. This is really good for ingenuity and creating new things, following your instincts and following them all the way. And then this week, there is a quincunx to Venus that, especially when she goes into retrograde on the 23rd, can bring up a lot of crap that you have to review, either financially or within your intimate partnerships. Just an FYI. You guys let me know in the comments below how this is impacting you. And then please subscribe to the channel so we can grow over here as Astrology Motivation. And then, yeah, come on over for your Born Without Boundaries weekly tarot card message. I love you guys. I'll see you in the videos.